Four of my funky four biggest college football games. Game number 3. And you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show on the Stewart Media and Entertainment Network. Game number 3. The Carolina Gamecocks taking on the Clemson Tigers. Hold that tiger. Hold that tiger. Yeah. Clemson Tigers, man, will play host to arch rival South Carolina on Saturday in the regular season finale with the Palmetto Bowl trophy going to the winner. Kickoff at Memorial Stadium in Clemson is at 7:30 p.m. This is going to be broadcasted on ESPN. South Carolina coach Will Muschamp is getting his first exposure to the rivalry, but knows there's a big one, and knows about rivalries and coaching stints at Auburn and Florida, so he knows definitely about rivalries. Dabo Swinney liked the way his team responded last week following its only losses of the season to Pittsburgh. The Tigers rebounded in a big way with a 35-13 victory at Wake Forest. They flashed on an effective running game behind Wayne Gallman, who had a season-high 161 yards. Quarterback Deshaun Watson continues to be the catalyst. He's passed for just over 298 yards a game and is second leading rusher on the team with 422 to Gallman's 831 once again. Will Muschamp took the red shirt off true freshman at midseason, turning over the reins to Jake Bentley. And Bentley has made that decision pay off, completing 66% of his passes and 198 yards a game. Running back Rico Dowdle is balling out of control as well. The Clemson Tigers favored big in this one, man. 24-point favorite taking on the South Carolina Gamecocks. That's game number 3 in my Funky Four. Game number 2 is the Iron Bowl. Auburn on the road taking on Alabama. Yeah. And you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show. So top-ranked Alabama already wrapped up its SEC West and plays East winner Florida for the conference championship December 3rd. But that doesn't mean that the Crimson Tide are looking past Auburn, who's been playing good football recently. The Crimson Tide hosts the number 16 Tigers at Bryant-Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa, Alabama on Saturday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Alabama 11-0, 7-0 in the SEC. Goes into the game with the nation's number 1 defense against the run, holding foes to less than 69 yards per game. The defense scored 9 touchdowns on 5 fumbles, returns, and 4 interceptions run back this season. Offensively, the Tide averages nearly 478 yards in total offense. Freshman quarterback Jalen Hurts passing for 197 yards per game and rushing for 73. Running back Damian Harris and Josh Jacobs combined to average more than 121 yards rushing. Auburn's defense, however, is playing good, allowing only 15 touchdowns in 11 games. Limited opponents to 118 rushing yards per game and allowed an average of 334 yards in total offense, which is 18th best in the country. Alabama prevailed 29-13 last year and won 6 of the last 8 to take a 44-35-1 lead. Game number 2 this weekend is the Iron Bowl. Auburn versus Alabama. And the big one this weekend, y'all know what it is. And you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show. Y'all know what it is. Michigan taking on Ohio State this year. There's even more at stake when second-ranked Ohio State square off on Saturday at Ohio Stadium at Columbus to take on the Michigan Wolverines, man. The two teams are playing for a share of the Big Ten East Division title, the right to go to the conference championship game in Indianapolis next month, and an anticipated berth in the college football playoff. A win over Michigan doesn't necessarily guarantee Ohio State a berth in the Big Ten championship or a playoff berth. If Ohio State takes down Michigan and Penn State beats Michigan State on Saturday in College, PA, the Nittany Lions go to Lucas Oil Stadium to likely face Wisconsin based on head-to-head win over the Buckeyes last month. All the Buckeyes can do is win and then hope Michigan State pulls off the upset. Even if Ohio State beats Michigan and doesn't get to Indianapolis, there's still a strong possibility of landing a spot in the 4-team national playoff. There's a lot on stake, man. The number 1 college football game this weekend, so says Doug Stewart in the Doug Stewart Show, is the Michigan Wolverines at the Horseshoe taking on Ohio State. So there you have it. All right. We're trying to get everything back in line, and you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show. I mean, we adapt. We don't die, we adapt. Back in 3 minutes, and we'll talk some NFL, Funky Four. Don't go away. What is ID Life? Well, over the last 18 years, a group of scientists and doctors have been working on the development of a one-of-a-kind nutritional supplement program that takes all the guesswork out of what you need and delivers your truly personalized pharmaceutical-grade nutrition with your name on it directly to your door. Through the integration of thousands of medical and scientific studies, answers you provide to the free assessment, and more than 5,470 algorithms that process the data, ID Nutrition recommends what you need, leaves out what you don't, and blocks things known to the system to have possible adverse effects based on the answers you provide. The result is a program that is revolutionizing the health and wellness industry. Welcome to ID Life. For more information, just go to thedougstewartshow.idlife.com. That's thedougstewartshow.idlife.com. Do you have your own radio show? Are you an artist or a DJ? BB Mobile Apps is the solution for you. They specialize in creating mobile apps for entertainers. That's right. You can have your own mobile app where your followers can hear your shows or music, watch your videos, and view all your social networks in one place. You can even make money with banner ads and send push notifications directly to your audience to make sure they get your messages. Everyone has their phones on them, right? A mobile app will add credibility to your brand because your content will be accessible to them while they're on the go. BV Mobile Apps also makes apps for bloggers, actors, and producers. The process only takes about 20 minutes. Just go to bvmobileapps.com and click Get Started Now. That's bvmobileapps.com and tell them the Doug Stewart Show sent you. Welcome back to the Doug Stewart Show. So I'm not even sure if y'all know that, but you know today is a Woman Wednesday, but we're compacting a bunch of things inside a Woman Wednesday. So it's a little bit of Woman Wednesday, and fantastic, freaky, funny Football Friday with all those football talk. But today's featured woman is the great Kenya Moore. Yeah. So shouts out to Kenya Moore. Now, she is crazy as batshit. She is crazy as bat doodle, but she is fine as hell. Won the Miss America pageant or Miss USA pageant back in 1993. Very interesting person, man. Very interesting upbringing. Check out details on Kenya Moore. I would do it, but we're kind of behind a little bit today. So just know that today's featured woman is the great Kenya Moore. Make sure you go on the Doug Stewart Show Facebook chat group and cast your vote for today's Boiled Peanuts Award winner or loser, depending on how you look at it. Your nominees are Kanye West, Lynette Hardaway, and Rochelle Richardson, That Ninja the Stewie, Thorny Switch the Stewette, Grego the Stewie, Joe Flacco, quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens. So go to the Doug Stewart Show Facebook chat group and cast your vote. One quick little honorary mention, I guess, for the college football games, the Funky Four. I have to mention Georgia Tech taking on Georgia this weekend. Good old-fashioned hate. Justin Thomas versus Jacob Eason. Nick Chubb. So some big names coming up this weekend. Georgia, the game is in Athens, between the hedges. Georgia's favored by 4 points in this one. So little honorable mention of Georgia Tech in Georgia. Let's talk some NFL, Funky Four. Yes! The four biggest games this weekend in the NFL, so says me. Coming in at game number 4, man, the Seattle Seahawks taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Seahawks get a big win last week, man, and beating the Philadelphia Eagles. Was it the Seahawks? big win last week beating, the Philadelphia Eagles. Tampa Bay on last week beat the Kansas City Chiefs. So they're both coming off of wins. Jameis Winston had his best game of the year, once again in the win against Kansas City, throwing for over 300 yards. Right now he's at 2,600 yards, 20 touchdown passes, and 10 interceptions. I didn't realize Jameis Winston statistically was doing that good. Your boy Russell Wilson, man, when November comes around, he just balls out of control. Right now, over 2,700 yards passing, 11 touchdown passes, and only 2 interceptions. Yeah. And you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show, brought to you by FireFan.com. I'm starting to think, man, Russell Wilson doesn't get enough love. This man has thrown 11 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions. Very efficient, protects the football. That's winning football. Protect the football, run the football, play good defense, and you win games. So that's game number 1 on my Funky Four. Tampa Bay hosting the Seattle Seahawks. It comes on Sunday at 4 o'clock Eastern Time on Fox. Game number 3 is our Atlanta Falcons hosting the Arizona Cardinals. Yes, sir. Yeah, the Cardinals come off of a loss to the Minnesota Vikings, in which they lost 30-24. They kind of gave it away, a lot of people will tell you. And the Atlanta Falcons, man, after the bye week this past week, the week before, they lost their last game to the Philadelphia Eagles, 24-15. So the Falcons are trying to get back on the right pace. And so Falcons hosting the Cardinals. Falcons putting up 324 passing yards per game. The Cardinals, over the last couple of years, have had one of the better defense. Falcons, once again, at home, 1 p.m. kickoff on Fox. 4-point favorite in this one. So that's game number 3 on my Funky Four. And game number 2 with a little Thanksgiving theme. And you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show. The Minnesota Vikings taking on the Detroit Lions. Yeah. The Vikings learned the hard way earlier this month about the Detroit Lions' late-game prowess, as the Vikings would prefer to give themselves a little more elbow room in the rematch on Thanksgiving Day in Detroit. The Lions stole a win in Minnesota on November 6th after the Vikings took the lead with 23 seconds left on the clock in regulation. A 58-yard Matt Prater field goal sent the game into overtime, and Detroit completed the comeback with a 28-yard Matthew Stafford to Golden Tate pass play. The 22-16 overtime victory is the reason why the NFC North teams are tied for the first place. In the first place at 6-4, Detroit has staged a fourth quarter comeback in all of its wins. So they're kind of like the cardiac kids, comeback kids. The Lions have also learned how to win on their annual Thanksgiving Day game after nearly a decade of futility. They have a 3-game winning streak on the holiday following a 9-game losing streak. Oh, and you know I remember those. Obviously, my brother played for the Lions for many years. Norv Turner resigned as Minnesota's offensive coordinator just before the first meeting and was replaced by tight ends coach Pat Shurmur. Though Shurmur has now had time to settle into the role, Vikings quarterback Sam Bradford said the offense has simply been tweaked a little bit. Minnesota's best offensive weapon is wide receiver Stephon Diggs, who has 40 receptions over the last 4 games. He caught 13 passes for 80 yards against Detroit. So there you have it. Game number 2. The Detroit Lions taking on the Minnesota Vikings. Yeah. The last time, one quick last note, the last time the teams met on Thanksgiving Day was 1995 when the Lions pulled out a wild 44-38 victory. Game number 1, and y'all know what it is once again. Game number 1 this weekend is the Washington Redskins on the road, I believe, taking on the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah. Thanksgiving turkey, football, turkey, gobble, gobble. I mean, it's tradition. The Dallas Cowboys are the talk of the NFL right now, racing out to the league's best record. Unfreaking believable. Yeah. A club winning streak behind a pair of dynamic offensive rookies and Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott have really been the catalyst for the thing. The Cowboys haven't lost since the season opener way back on September